Okay, let's do this next problem here. Number 8. An experiment consists of flipping a coin three times. And each time noting the outcome. A. What is the sample space? Of the experiment? Okay, so I'm going to write this S. That's how we call it, what we usually call the sample space, S. All right, so the thing is on the first time around, you can get a heads. And well, the thing is, I need to organize this. So to organize this, let's look at let's look at a tree. This might not really do it for people, but anyway, you have a tree. So you have two outcomes. You have two possibilities on the first toss. You have a heads or a tail. And then, assuming you have a heads, let's say, then you can get a heads or a tail. Okay? So there's two paths you can go down, a heads or tail. And then for the heads, you can go down heads or tail. And then for this path, you can get a heads or tail. The problem with my little tree here is that I run out of room, but anyway, okay, I guess I did it. Okay, so look, the first time you flip the coin, you get either heads or tail. Now, for those people who got heads, you have two possibilities, heads or tails. And then for each of those, you have a possibility heads or tails. So let's look, starting on the far left, at the path. Heads, heads, heads. And I don't think I'm going to put brackets and commas. I'm just going to write it like this. And then you can go, okay, that was the far left. Then you go heads, heads, tails. Now, I've gone through that path over here. Let's go through the next path. Heads, tails, heads. Heads, tails, tails. Now, we've completely done all the paths starting off with heads. And if you notice, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's continue. Then for tails, we could have tails, heads, heads. And then we could have tails, heads, tails. Now, we finished that one. Tails, tails, heads. And then tails, tails, tails. And there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have 8 things up there. All right. B. Describe the event where tails occurs more often than heads. Well, I'm just going to look at these. No, that's more heads than tails, more heads than tails, more heads than tails. Oh, hold on. That has more tails than heads. Over here, more heads than tails. Then this one has more tails than heads. Then tails, tails, heads. Tails, tails, tails. Notice I'm making them all different. I mean, what I mean by that. What I mean that I'm not saying that tails, tails, heads is the same thing as, say, heads, tails, tails. And those tosses are different. Even though looking at heads, tails, 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 heads, we're still in that case getting the both, only one head and two tails. But they're different events. Okay, that's all.